I did absolutely everything. I did everything from domain flipping to having 2,000 Twitter accounts trying to game the system that way, which all got shut down within 5 minutes of each other. I had pretty much everything, 5 different companies, 3 of them got shut down by the FTC. But I was always trying to hide behind a strategy like a solo ad or an email or something, or a system or a traffic hack, as opposed to actually putting myself out there, being vulnerable. So that's when I turned towards video marketing. I decided what my business is missing is me.
Let's start with, there are members of the community that know you, love you, are extremely entertained by you. For the folks who haven't yet been introduced, let's take them back.
Some are mildly displeased as well.
Polarization's very
key.
important.
Yeah.
That's a little tip for everybody.
Yeah.
But what did it last, how many years was it?
It's a good question, yeah.
Like 7?
It was 8.5-year journey.
8.5 years.
So there was about a 6.5-year period where there was no tangible results whatsoever. Now, I shared a bit on stage about my turbulent past. You know, I'm nuts now, but I was completely crazy when I was younger.
Right. Clearly not now.
Yeah, no, now I'm calm as a Hindu cow, relaxed. But back then, age 17 to 23, man, I don't remember anything. My band would carry me out on stage, I'd play on my back because I couldn't stand up. And now I've been clean and sober for almost 15 minutes. So
and it shows.
It's all changed around. So I got sucked down the rabbit hole into entrepreneurship. I did absolutely everything. I did everything from domain flipping to having 2,000 Twitter accounts trying to game the system that way, which all got shut down within 5 minutes of each other. I had pretty much everything, 5 different companies, 3 of them got shut down by the FTC. But I was always trying to hide behind a strategy like a solo ad or an email or something, or a system or a traffic hack, as opposed to actually putting myself out there, being vulnerable. So that's when I turned towards video marketing. I decided what my business is missing is me. That's what has been the missing piece of the puzzle. So started it with Elite Marketing Pro with a $1 trial. As I said, if it had been $2, I would have maxed out my credit card. Got started literally from less than zero and just built my way up, hustling. Decided on YouTube marketing. Decided to put on the blinders, focus on nothing else. Isolate, zone in on one strategy until I had taken it to proficiency and mastery. And it worked, man, eventually. Not without the setbacks. Lost 1.5 years worth of work with the YouTube channel, that kind of thing, but eventually got traction to the point where I was generating consistent leads, and now I have a perpetual machine that sits there building my email list, generating sales on autopilot. So I've diversified into multiple market verticals and sectors and investing in all types of things, generating leads. So it's worked.
A lot of things I want to touch on. The first is, you mentioned hiding behind tactics and not really being, I mean, the whole premise, of course, of attraction marketing is you Inc. And
exactly.
so many people, I mean, and granted, I mean, I think a lot of us have been there at one point in time, but a lot of people, when they get started, you know, they go online because they do want to hide, and they do want to not really exist. They want those tactics.
They think they can use the internet as a way to, a workaround, work around themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's fantastic that you shared that, because
Yeah.
people need to realize what we're encouraging everyone to do, and it's certainly not to hide.
Exactly, and as we know, you know, people do business with people, not an email or a strategy. So that's what was missing, because then they're able to feel your energy through the video, they're able to connect with you, they're able to resonate with you on a deeper level.
6.5 years, man.
Yeah.
That's a long
Without
time.
a single sale.
Yeah.
You know, people complain they're 2 weeks in and they haven't generated a lead or a sale yet. Come on, man. It takes a lot of grit and persistence and belief in yourself to still see nothing after 6.5 years and still stay persistent. But it was more painful to stay where I was. The way I looked at it, I'd rather live with the integrity of having fought for my dreams than die with the disgrace of looking in the mirror as a quitter. So even if I was 95 years old and I still hadn't broken through, at least I was fighting for what I believed in, going after what I wanted, whether it worked or not, you know, whether I ever broke through or not. At least I was congruent and in alignment and authentic and in alignment with my own values, you know.
So tell me about YouTube.
The reason I really chose the YouTube platform was, well, first of all, my advertising budget was less than zero. I wanted to build something that I was willing to put in the time, the sweat equity to create an asset that would create that cash flow, that would allow me to reinvest in paid advertising to scale. But it was more the residual aspect to YouTube. By its nature, it's a search engine, so it's perpetual. So you're essentially building a perpetual leads and sales machine, because the content that you put out there is essentially duplicating yourself. It's a way to build out a workforce, a digital workforce that's out there, pieces of virtual property that's continuing to be found day after day, month after month. Now obviously it takes time to start hit that sweet spot and critical mass where you have enough content. I think a lot of people underestimate how much content it actually takes to break through, to actually generate consistent lead flow. They underestimate. I mean, there's 400 minutes of video uploaded every second onto YouTube. Why should YouTube pay attention to you? You've got to give them a reason, and there's a catch-22 situation there, because they don't trust you until they've got some real human behavioral data on your video. But they're not going to show your video until they've got that initial trust. So you're kind of stuck in this middle ground to get your account going, but once you hit and break through, it can be very powerful. So, I mean, just promoting Elite Marketing Pro, I haven't put up a video since the middle of February, and yet that's still sitting there and still keeping me on the top 3 spots on the leaderboard, you know. And it's 100% profit once it's built. As I said, it requires a lot of initial work, but once it's built, it's very powerful too, because it's video. They're already warm to you before they even get to your video. Before they even get to your capture page, they've already watched you, they've heard you, and you're able to pre-frame the prospect of exactly what you want them to think and feel and what to expect before they even reach the capture page. So your opt-in rates and sales rates are huge, you know. Also, leads that come from video tend to continue to buy from video. They don't need hand-holding. They buy fast, they buy often, and they do not hesitate to spend money with you. They're very powerful leads. And what do people do when they have a pressing problem? They go online and they search. They search for information about their problem. So you're catching them right at the pain point, right when they're feeling it, you know.
So one thing you mentioned was that a YouTube video, unlike, say, a post on Facebook, which is sort of a flash in the pan, a YouTube video actually can become more valuable over time, which is really cool.
True.
So let's tell folks about that, because I think that's something that they might not realize.
Yeah, it can actually create a snowball effect. So there was a Google update called the Hummingbird update. So if somebody types into Google New York taxis or taxis nearby New York, whatever it may be, the phrase that they're typing in, Google was able to understand that they're pretty much in the same frame of mind, even though they're 2 separate search queries. That person's essentially looking for the same solution. In the same way, once your video, I showed some examples on stage, once your video starts to be found and gets positive user engagement in terms of watch time, as in somebody types in Facebook prospecting and recruiting scripts for Messenger. They come to your video, they watch 179% of the video. Now, nowhere in my video did I mention that exact search phrase, but because of the fact that it was relevant to similar search terms, YouTube starts to show you for all these different types of search terms. Now you can have it go in both directions. You can have a video that bombs because it's sucked, or you can have one that goes upwards in a snowball effect where it just starts to show you for all types of search terms. Because just like Facebook's Pixel, it's starting to learn what the video is about. Because your title, your description, your tags, that's you telling YouTube what your video is about, long enough for them to get some real human behavior to go by. If you say your video is about one thing but human behavior says otherwise, they'll consider that you lied, and your video will plummet down in the search rankings. So that's the power of a perpetual piece of content, as you said, with YouTube. It's something that can continue to grow and continue to actually serve your entire channel. If one video takes off, it can actually boost and bring up a lot of the other videos. One thing I mentioned on stage, if you pick a schedule, you have to stick with it, because inconsistency kills channels. If you have decided to one thing that hurt me was I was hitting it hard. Like I did 500 videos in 5 months. And that was an unsustainable schedule long term. Whereas it's better to upload a video once a week consistently than upload a video every second day inconsistently. Again, it comes back to user experience on the platform. If a person's expecting content, they want that community to receive the content when it was meant to be delivered. So they'll penalize you, and your whole overall views for your entire channel will start to drop if you neglect the channel. So you need to keep it fed with content, and that's one thing people don't realize. So there is some hands-on work to keep it alive, you know. Yeah.
One thing you mentioned too was the importance of watch time.
It's huge. It's everything. As far as I'm concerned, it's the God metric. It's supersedes everything else. I can start a brand new YouTube channel. I can outrank. I've done it. I can show you examples where I outranked CNN and Facebook with a brand new YouTube channel. You can have more views than me. You can have more subscribers. You can have more comments, more likes. None of that stuff matters in comparison to watch time. Because if you think about it, it's the ultimate indicator of a relevant video. If you type in, you know, how to assemble a tent, you go to your video and you're there talking about the trees in the background for 2 minutes. That's incongruent, irrelevant content. It's going to create, you're going to have a low watch time of a couple of seconds. People are going to realize they landed on the wrong content. They're going to disappear. Where you should be doing everything in your power to keep people on your video as long as possible. Everything from fluctuating vocal tonality to pattern interrupts and open loops and everything you possibly can to keep people on your video, because that's the ultimate metric. I don't care how aged and powerful your channel is, I'll outrank you if I can keep people on my video longer for a specific search term. That's all that matters, because YouTube's primary business objective is to maximize revenue for shareholders. And the way that they do that is by rewarding the people that keep people on YouTube the longest. So just imagine you and me were co-founders of YouTube. What would we care about? We would be putting the video number one that kept people there the longest for that particular search term, because then you get to show more ads, generate more revenue. If you think of it from YouTube's perspective and them as a business, what do they want? And that's why that guy PewDiePie was the biggest channel of all time, because he understood how to keep people engaged. His average watch time was like 3 hours. Kids would go into playlists and watch 1 hour video after another. So they kept putting him on the front page of YouTube, you know, because he was no idiot. He was raised by 2 entrepreneurs. He knew what he was doing. He might have been acting the fool on video, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He was gaming the watch time. It's everything.
What types of videos are you putting out there?
Good question. So it depends on your initial objective. When you're starting a channel, I think of it like you're at a Y junction. You have 2 directions you can take. Do you want to build an audience on YouTube itself, or do you want to use videos for primarily lead generation? So if you want to, it's going to determine what you do and what you say in your videos. I personally don't go after building an audience on YouTube itself. If I was, I'd be saying, guys, thanks a lot for watching this video. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, hit the notifications so that you stay in the loop for future videos released in this channel. Add, like, and leave a comment below of what you want to see in the next video. I'd be driving engagement on the platform itself and trying to build my audience there. Me personally, I create lead generation videos. My objective is to get people off the video and onto my email list. So I provide enough content and value in the video to warm them to me, and then I do a strong visual and verbal call to action to drive them either to the link in the description, or it's about 50-50. 50% of the people click the link in the description, half the people type it in. So you might have seen those outro slates at the end of videos where you've got all types of ways to click on videos, but YouTube's updating itself so often. I came up with what I like to call the evergreen outro slate, where no matter what update YouTube does, it's still going to remain relevant. And that's simply just a written call to action and an actual visual display of the URL that the person should visit. Because then there isn't an actual clickable annotation. I mean, they did away with annotations, then they introduced in screens and in cards, and it's constantly changing and evolving, and stuff is no longer supported that used to work. I have videos up where there's annotations that's no longer supported, I can't edit them. So my objective right from the gate was to create a channel that generated leads. So once you're going in that state of mind, you know the objective of your video, you know how to structure your video to make that happen. Now YouTube doesn't necessarily like that, because again, they want to keep people on the platform. If you're driving people off the platform, yeah, you just need to be wary of that, you know.
Got it. Now, one thing you mentioned from stage that I really think we need to cover here is that action is the cure.
Yeah.
And I think folks really need to hear this.
So true, yeah. Inaction fertilizes fear, action cures fear. I was referring to it in terms really of overcoming your phobia and your fear of video. I'd love to say that it was a lack of vitamin B6 and you could take 300 milligrams sublingually twice a day and you're going to be awesome on video, but there's no shortcut. It's just literal consistent action. And if you want it to happen fast, record as much video content as you can on a daily basis. That's how you're going to overcome your fear, by making friends with the camera, to the point where you've progressively desensitized. You're no longer concerned. And you're visualizing the person on the other side of the camera that you're impacting, that you're helping, instead of being concerned about yourself and how you're being seen. So those are just kind of some of the strategies that I personally used, but action is everything. If you're watching this and you're planning on taking the route of free organic YouTube search traffic to build your business, you've got to be in it for the long haul in a marathon. It takes a ton of action, a ton of work, a lot of sweat equity, a lot of late nights, not much sleep. There's a lot more work goes into a video than you think. Everything from the keyword research to the writing out the description to recording the video, the content, editing the video, uploading it, optimizing it, getting it ranked for each video. But the payoff is long term, because all that content I've built is still working for me. It's continuing to work for me. But yeah, action is everything, especially with that strategy. If you've a paid ad, sure, you can switch it on, you can tweak it, there's massive leverage there, and I recommend it honestly as a place to get started. If a person has no prior results, it can be very good. It can be good psychologically for a person to have a positive reference experience and see some actual tangible results, because YouTube, you can be 80 videos in and nothing has happened yet. You know, 6 months into the game and you haven't generated a lead yet, which can be discouraging for some people. So yeah, if you're playing the game, play a long game and massive action.
Not everyone's going to stick with it for 6.5 years.
No, no.
With no results. No, that's awesome, man. So don't hide, and at least if YouTube's something you want to explore, I mean, go all in. And
all in, as in nothing else. I unsubscribed from, if I see an email coming out for the latest Facebook traffic strategy or Instagram, delete. It's not relevant. To this day, I don't look at anything else or study anything else. I'm that all in on one platform, and people say, well, you should work a platform till you start to get results with it before you move on to another platform. I disagree. I said that's when you should really put the blinders on. Once you start to get results, that's when you need to capitalize on your previous efforts and hone in on it and go all in on it. Because that's when you really milk the strategy and actually make it pay. If you hop to something else right when you just got it working, it doesn't make any sense. That's when you need to put the blinders on. A long play, 3 to 5 year play if necessary. You know, there's no quick fix. We all know that.
Well, before we conclude, any final thoughts or tips for folks?
So, whatever path you decide to take, you need a big enough reason. For me, I was driven a lot more by the avoidance of pain than the seeking of pleasure, to be honest. I was so uncomfortable with my current situation, the living situation, the job I was working in. I was a rebel. I just didn't take orders well. I couldn't handle having a boss. I wanted to live life on my own terms without it being dictated by somebody when I could take time off. See, for me, having a strong enough emotional driver, knowing exactly what you want, we've all heard of it, but that's what's going to keep you in the game long term when it gets uncomfortable. Because you realize how tedious it is to constantly crank out this type of content. I mean, you're repeating something so many times that you just have to become mechanistic and cold and mechanical about it to keep it going. But it's worth it in the end. I mean, I moved out here to Vegas June 2nd. I have the financial flexibility to do that now. If I hadn't stuck on one strategy, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So the persistence, the tenacity to pick one thing and stick to it as long as it takes is probably one of the most important things. That's why you'll hear all this weekend, every leader is going to tell you they all picked one platform, one strategy, and they stuck with it until they made it happen. They weren't diluting their focus and power, spreading themselves thin over multiple strategies. I did that, guys, for 6.5 years, and look what happened. Nothing happened. So that's what I'd leave you with.
I love it. So next year is No Excuses 10.
Yeah.
Any words of encouragement for someone who's maybe sitting at home watching this video and thinking, I wonder if I should go check that out?
All my breakthroughs came from events, and ironically, it wasn't necessarily what I learned from people on stage. It's what I learned from the networking afterwards, the secrets that get divulged when people start to loosen up at after parties. So always invest in Platinum, always invest, even if you don't have the money. Think of it as an investment. You're the best investment you'll ever make. I was investing that money. I became an event junkie, traveling back and over to the US from Ireland to attend events because I understood the importance of the law of environmental exposure, getting around the people who already have what you want. It's the only way that you're going to grow. You know, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're surrounded by the negativity and naysayers of friends and family that think you can't do something, it's just going to drag you down. The gravity of averages will suck you down to the leverage of mediocrity. So you have to get around the people, the ideas, and the situations and the orchestrated events like this that's going to take you to the next level with the information, the knowledge, and the connections and the people. And I said it on stage in my presentation, every time I hit rock bottom, I came back to No Excuses Summit, learned something and had a breakthrough. So events are priceless. It's a must. If you're honestly serious, you've got to get to events. There's just no way around it. You know?
All right, man.